Hi, this is John with 4andhalf.com. We are internet marketing for property managers, and today I'm here to talk to you about how to set up a camera system for a blog. Now, we use almost exclusively iPhones and iPads to do this because they're in most offices already. They take good video, their audio isn't too bad, and the file format they use is really easy to edit and send up to YouTube, etc. So that's why we use it. So here's what you want to do. You want to make sure you're in your good location. We've done a separate blog on this. We'll link to it, of course. And that means that it's going to have plenty of light, and it's going to be quiet, and you can shut the door. So the equipment you'll need. You're going to need an iPhone or iPad. You're going to need that iPhone or iPad to have plenty of room on it for the videos. If you've got it full of photos already and music, you're going to have to erase some of those. And it takes about, I think it's about 100 megs a minute. So you'll have to calculate it from that. You also want to make sure that you have your charging cable with you, just in case you start running out of juice. That way you'll be able to charge it, and also transfer video off of the iPhone or iPad if you start running out of room. The third thing, set it to airplane mode. You don't want to be interrupted by anything during your shooting of it. Even when you're not shooting this, make sure that you're not going to be interrupted. The other thing that you're going to need is you're going to need a mount to attach the iPhone or iPad to a tripod. And each of them are different because they're different sizes, of course, and they're not too expensive. They're about $20-30 on Amazon, for instance. Optionally, if you're in a louder environment or you're really concerned with the quality of the audio on your blogs, you would want a microphone. Now, you can get microphones that are made just to plug straight into an iPhone or an iPad, or you can get a nice setup with a real microphone, like, pro microphone cable, but you'll need a preamp to attach the microphone to your phone. And if you use a microphone, you're also going to need a stand to put it on, because you don't want to stand here with it in your hand. You could get a lavalier mic if you want, but it's that's only useful in cases when you're just sitting there and you're doing this. It's tougher, say, if you're trying to interview somebody else. So the setup. You want to make sure that the camera is pretty close to you. And when you're shooting with, when you're setting it up with an iPhone or iPod, make sure that it's already set to video, because the screen will show two different things if it's set to take a picture or set to take a video. And if you set it for a picture and then shoot it over to video, you're not going to get the same stuff. You might not even be entirely within the frame. So make sure you set it up to video before you start. You want to have the camera sort of just below your eyes. And that way you don't have too much what we call headroom over your head. We don't want to see everything behind you. We want you to be the center of it when you're shooting a blog. And that is accomplished by having it below your eyes and also partially having it close by. Should have mentioned also, if you're not using a microphone, having that camera up close gets better audio for you. You want to have as good an audio as you can get. The other thing, very important, use the rear-facing camera. Do not use the camera side that has the image on it. The screen. You don't want to use the camera that has the screen on it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is not as high a resolution as the camera on the back of the camera. Number two, people tend to look at the image in the picture instead of the camera. We want you looking right at the camera, not looking off to the side. So if you're looking off at maybe a cue card or something like that, or if you're trying to look at the camera but keep glancing at yourself on the screen, it looks very funny. We don't want this. And have your notes on the table. Have your notes on the table, because if you have cue cards, even if it's held up by a helper behind the camera, you'll tend to look off to the side, and that doesn't look right on the video. Whereas looking down to check your notes is a natural look. People do it all the time. It doesn't look weird, and it doesn't look like you're staring off into space while you're trying to talk to somebody on a camera. Having a helper behind the camera, though, if you are shy, is a good thing. If you're a bit camera shy, you're a little nervous, having someone standing there can help a lot of people feel more comfortable talking in that direction, because they can imagine talking to that person rather than the camera. A couple of other things while you're shooting. You want to make sure that you turn off the camera between takes. Partially this is because when you are uploading video, if you're not going to edit the video, if you're having someone upload the video and you need to send it to them over the internet, sending big files is trouble. You want to keep the files as small as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to make sure you shut it off between takes. And for that matter, if you shut it off between takes and you have a bad take, you can just erase it and it saves room on your camera. If you already have 3 good things on there, you can't erase it and that's taken up. So shut the camera off between takes. That is very much made easier if you have a person behind the camera. However, you might not. But even if you do, the important thing to remember, and another important thing to remember, is pausing. If you make a mistake, you screw up, just stop. Think about a place that you could go back to, start at an earlier sentence, and then you can have a good place to cut then. Makes it much easier. And you certainly want to pause before you start, and you want to pause after you're done. You don't want to keep talking as you're getting up to shut off the camera. It doesn't look right. You want to pause and give it that moment. Think of a newscast as well. When you've got that moment when the 2 newscasters appear to be joking with each other when they're probably really swearing at each other, that's to give a chance to wind things down and to give an easy place for people to cut later on. So the last thing you want to think of is you want to have an intro and an outro. You want to start with who you are, who you work for, and what you want to talk about. And then when you're ending it, have an outro like this. Thanks for listening. My name is John, and if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call.